What's up, everybody? Welcome to News, Games, and More. This is IGN's daily live news show. I'm Damon Hatfield, and I will be your guide for today, Monday, October 26th. And today I'm joined by Sydney Goodman.
Hey.
Stella Chung.
Hello.
And Jonathan Dornbush.
Why, hello there.
Hello. And we've got lots of fun little news items to get through today. It's very next-gen focused. Heavily PlayStation focused, but we have some Xbox Series updates as well. We've got a performance mode for God of War running on PlayStation 5. One of the PS5's big launch games has been delayed into next year. We've got updates on what performance enhancements all of Ubisoft's upcoming games are going to enjoy on next-gen consoles. But first, we begin, as always, as we do on Mondays, with sharing what we played over the weekend. Stella, why don't you go first? What did you play over the weekend?
Final Fantasy 14.
Cool. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Is this something new for you, or have you played it for a long time?
No, it's actually new. I didn't think I'd be interested because WoW didn't really capture me. RuneScape and all that other stuff didn't really capture me. But then as soon as I got into the character creation for Final Fantasy 14, I was like, yep, okay, I'm gonna invest in this.
I've heard nothing but good things about Final Fantasy 14, although I've never tried it myself. Jonathan, that strikes me as something you might have dabbled with.
It's not. I've never played an MMO, so it scares me a little bit.
Waiting for that Kingdom Hearts MMO.
Day one, happily.
Ooh.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just me running around in a room with a Keyblade by myself, and I just live stream it, and that's an MMO, I guess.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Then, Jonathan, what did you play this weekend?
I played more Hades and Fortnite. I've mostly played the game of Where is FedEx, but other than that, Fortnite was a lot of what I've been doing because I'm trying to get all of the Marvel skins because that's the season that's going on right now. So I'm trying to get all of those before this season ends, whenever it does.
And what were you awaiting to arrive from FedEx?
A small box with a PlayStation 5 in it. And that's all I can say for now.
So, is it near you right now? Is it like
I can grab the box? It'll be a second. So
yeah, no, it's fine. Sydney, what did you play this weekend?
I've been playing a lot of Warzone and Among Us. Those are the two. But Warzone's new zombie mode, actually, to tout Mr. Stephen Rue, who's a former IGN employee and very good at Warzone. We were playing on, I don't remember what day it was, but we challenged him to get over 24 kills, and he got 36, and we won, which was wild.
Oh, here it comes. Dun, dun, dun,
Oh my god.
I like that it's like shy.
Don't be shy, PlayStation 5. Everybody's very
I'm so jealous.
for you.
It is a large box, so it's kind of hard to have on screen.
I was just say, wait, can you compare it to your torso?
Sure.
I mean, well.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
very large.
Yeah. It's much bigger than I remember the PS4 box being.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Apparently Sony.
It was too powerful.
Yeah.
Weird. It thinks a different camera connected. Again, new computer. So
yeah. Nice.
Sorry about that. But yeah.
That is very exciting. Jonathan, can we let people know when we can start learning more about what you have and when you can start sharing impressions?
We cannot actually.
Okay.
No, we cannot share dates, but it will be sometime in the coming future.
Sometime before November 12th.
I hope.
Yeah. One would think. Okay then, speaking of PS5, let's get on with our news updates. God of War is getting a performance mode on PlayStation 5, where if you choose the favor performance option, the game will run at 60 frames per second. But now, Jonathan, you reviewed God of War for IGN back in 2018. Liked the game quite a lot. Didn't it already also have a performance mode on PS4?
Yeah, so the way it worked on PS4 was there were two modes, so you can optimize either performance or resolution, which is often the case with especially Sony first-party games. And I think what's happening here is essentially the performance mode had a cap, but I think this is going to probably be more stably close to 60 is how I would guess it would work.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of it for the performance mode, right? It's expected to lock God of War at 60 frames per second on PS5.
Yeah, so because this isn't the same thing as the Spider-Man remaster where they, went in and rebuilt stuff within the game and did new textures and everything. This is basically just like the boost mode that the PS5 has. Some games will be able to take advantage of it. And from what we've been able to tell so far, we got some word on Ghost of Tsushima having a similar thing where they said it'll run at 60 on PS5. It sounds like essentially the games that had performance mode or resolution mode, those features will either work more consistently or better or like a little above where they were when it comes to frame rate and whatnot. So it feels like you probably won't have to choose as much about how you want to play on PS5. They'll all just kind of work a little better.
Were you surprised that it won't be supporting 4K resolution on PS5?
So it does that dynamic checkerboarding 4K. It's a little bit of a bummer, but it's also one of those things where I guess it's just, depending on the way it was built and the way it's transferring to the PS5, they just didn't want to put in the extra effort because they are working on another God of War game right now. So
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Which you also have in your house right now. Which is
I do.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you how the game fully plays out. There's no embargo on that. Weirdly.
I want to be clear.
Are you serious?
I want to be clear. He does not have God of War Ragnarok. That was a really...
Now I'm sad.
Sorry, that was a bit bad and mean joke on my part.
That is really mean.
Well, so I take it you're a fan of the first game, Stella?
I actually just played it maybe 2 months ago.
Cool.
So I bought a used PS4 and I played through it, and spoiler alert, I have a huge crush on Thor. I said the wrong thing. Sorry, on Kratos,
but also Thor.
Yes, also that. But it was such a good game, and honestly, hearing Jonathan talk about the improvements and stuff, I'm just like, I feel like it didn't really need that much. It looked great already. They did such a good job of hiding the load times and everything. So I was like, you know what, this is a really good way of taking the current gen and doing the most with it. So it'll be interesting to see. I guess Jonathan got to experience the translation over to next gen. So
I haven't yet. No, I just based on the tweet. No, I haven't been able to.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yet. No, you're good. You're good. No, I haven't. Played any PS4 games on PS5. It's just that we know, based on what they've told us via tweets, how it'll work. And way back in March, Mark Cerny talked about the boost mode capabilities. So it's basically just we're right now in this weird guessing game where there isn't a comprehensive list of what is going to work better. We're just kind of relying on these tweets from devs as they come out.
Mm-hmm. Which they also confirmed today that your save will transfer over from PS4 to PS5. So, Stella, if you wanted to ever check out the New Game Plus mode in God of War,
yes,
you can do that on PS5. Don't have to start all over. Which is very cool. Sydney, did you ever play God of War?
So started it.
Started the game.
So it wasn't this is a common theme that happens to me, which is I'll be really amped on a game when it comes out and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna clear all of my multiplayer games, I'm just gonna play this game, it's gonna be great. And then I play the first 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, this is amazing, and then I get a text from somebody, they're like, hey, want to jump on COD or do whatever, and then I get sucked back into the multiplayer vortex, and then by the time I'm like, oh, it's time for me, I want to go back to that game, I have completely forgot all the mechanics, and I'm just kind of like, oh no, I either have to just suffer through this or start the game over. And so actually I am planning on starting God of War over because I'm just so incredibly bad at it at this point. So I have big plans.
Yeah.
But not now because I'm playing Warzone.
Well, I haven't played it since, it came out in 2018. So I'm actually looking forward to revisiting that one on my PlayStation 5 as well. And Jonathan, is God of War part of the PlayStation Plus collection?
It is, I believe. I'll double check, but I think that is one of the 18 or so games you get if you're subscribed to PS Plus. Yeah.
Yep. So that's cool. And then also, just as a side note, Santa Monica Studio also confirmed that your God of War 3 remastered save will also transfer to PS5 if you've played that one. Jonathan, did you ever play God of War 3?
Not the remastered version. I've played it, before, but yeah, I haven't actually played the remaster, so this might be a good excuse to go finally give that a try.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, moving right along. There is a PlayStation 5 launch game that we were expecting that actually just got delayed today. That is Destruction All-Stars. And maybe Jonathan can explain what this game is. When I hear All-Stars, I think of PlayStation All-Stars.
Don't we all?
I know we do, but is this not related to that game at all? Stars?
Who knows? It could be. We've seen very little of this game. It's very possible they surprise us and are like, oh, by the way, Big Daddy, Fat Princess, and Sackboy are in this game. I don't know. But no, as of right now, it's a totally brand new IP franchise, whatever you want to say. It seems to be all totally new characters and like teams built for this game.
Okay, I still don't really understand what the game is. But
Yeah,
it is a car combat like 3v3, not 3v3 necessarily. I don't actually know the full teams in every mode, but essentially it is like a car combat game, but you can also get out of your car.
That feels like a bad strategy.
Not recommended.
There's a little bit of
car.
third person action in there, but essentially it was sort of being fronted as like the big first party multiplayer game to jump into for next gen. Yeah.
So we actually got a quote. It's PlayStation Director of Product Development, Pete Smith, says, Destruction All-Stars is a multiplayer game that's at its best when you're competing with gamers online from all around the world. We want as many people as possible to experience the mayhem on PS5, and what better way to do it than to provide the game to our PlayStation Plus members. So that's right, I don't think we mentioned that before. Now it's going to be part of PlayStation Plus in February when it's finally released. Jonathan, should we read anything more into this? Do you expect this game was not expected to sell very well at launch?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of it, because I honestly think this is the best move for all involved. Like you're saying, we're a week or two away from launch. You have no idea what this game is. This is a first party PS5 exclusive, and they've basically shown nothing of it. Like we got a trailer at, I think, the June reveal event for the PS5, and we've gotten a few like PlayStation blog posts and teases, but there's been very little about the game. And for a full price, this was going to be a $70 launch game on day one. That is a lot to make people buy into. And so I wouldn't be surprised if like lack of name recognition, lack of actual like visibility on the game caused people to not really be pre-ordering it. So I think this is the best move, because it is, like I was saying, a mostly multiplayer game that you can play it solo, but like this is a multiplayer game. And so to put this out with PlayStation Plus players just kind of guarantees there will be some install base from the go.
Yeah, and Sony has had a lot of success with other multiplayer games releasing into PlayStation Plus, like Rocket League and more recently Fall Guys. So Stella and Sydney, I know you both play a lot of multiplayer games. Was Destruction All-Stars on your radar?
No. I don't really know what this is about. And I'm not really into games that like involve you heavily being in a car. So for me, I'm just like, I'm good. I'll watch people play it just to see what it is, but I'm okay.
I don't know. It wasn't on my radar. I vaguely remember the trailer from the June showcase. But to echo Jonathan, I agree. I think it's in everybody's best interest, especially because if you look at the number of people who maybe aren't able to get a PS5 at launch, who were interested in this game, and then just maybe I'd imagine it's a pretty small sample size of people who are interested, and then you have the like who were actually able to get a PS5, and then how many people are actually in this lobby, like what kind of like experience is this? And it just seemed like it was kind of adding up for maybe like not the best experience.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was doing a little bit of research on this game for this show today, and I found it's developed by Lucid Games, which is not a super well-known developer, but they did develop the smartphone app for Going on a Bear Hunt, which is my 1-year-old son's favorite song in the world.
Oh, wait, it's a song? It's like Baby Shark?
Yeah. But, it's like, we're going on a bear hunt. I've got my binoculars. I'm not scared. He loves it.
That's so cute. Well, maybe he'll love Destruction All-Stars whenever he's old enough to play.
Definitely loves Destruction right now. He's definitely into that as well. Okay, Jonathan mentioned Sackboy as a former cast member of PlayStation All-Stars. And Jonathan, you talked to who'd you talk to about Sackboy: A Big Adventure?
I talked to Ned Waterhouse, who's on the team at Sumo Digital. He's, for anyone who's been following Sackboy, he's appeared in a couple of the trailers or like gameplay previews, so you may have seen his face before. But basically, was talking to him. We obviously haven't gotten to go hands-on with anything of the PS5 before this launch window, so we were talking just a bit about how the gameplay is in terms of difficulty, why they like really wanted to focus on 60 frames per second being a thing for this game on PS5 and PS4, what PS4 players should be looking forward to, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned 60 frames per second. It's going to run at that frame rate, just like God of War. But I thought this quote was interesting. He said, "We said from day one, the absolute must was a smooth 60 frames per second because we focused on play, and that was about creating the best platform we could. For us, that meant awesome character controls, meant a really responsive character. Because I don't know about you, but when I think about Little Big Planet, I think of very floaty controls."
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this one is, and talking to Ned, I got the sense of this. Like they really decided, like with this project, it was like there's no creation side of this. You can customize Sackboy's costume and everything, but it was really focused on making a platformer. And so the team was like, okay, let's focus on that. Let's kind of make that the goal of what we're making, and that allowed them to really hone in on this stuff. And I think some of the floatiness of the Little Big Planet controls was something we could like excuse when we were, creating all these fun levels and coming up with all these wacky ideas. But when it is a platformer, if it's not responsive, if it doesn't feel good, it's going to be a pretty bad experience. Yeah,
and this is a different developer that from the Media Molecule, right, that made Little Big Planet.
Yeah, the Sumo did work on LBP3 though.
Gotcha. So, like you said, you haven't actually played this game yet. He takes him away. Here we
go. Loki was whining. So.
It's okay. That is a very acceptable reason to step away. You haven't actually played Sackboy yet, but it's possible that they've just sort of completely refined the controls since it's a completely different developer, right?
Yeah, it seems like something they kind of started fresh with this game, whereas like LBP3, they were obviously working on what Media Molecule had done with 1 and 2, and so this feels like sort of a, they have a history with Sackboy, but let's kind of make a fresh start for the character.
Mm-hmm. Sydney, have you played any of the Little Big Planets?
Yeah, I played a little bit of the first one. To be completely honest with you, I hardly remember it, but I remember my cousin had it, and it was always nice to go over there, and that's what we would play. But I mean, this looks cool. It looks cute. I feel like I'm on the hunt for a game that like really takes advantage of the fact that I just spent like $550 on this thing. And so maybe I'll play this first. I don't know.
Yeah. Stella, how about you? Any history with the Little Big Planet franchise?
Actually, no. I played like a little bit with one of my friends. I forget which one it was. I think it was on the PS3. I think.
Yeah.
Was there one on the PS3?
Yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah, I played like one level, and I always thought that Sackboy was super cute, but I never really got into the game. But maybe this might be a nice little like co-op game that I can play. So might be fun.
Jonathan, what's your read on this one? Is this one you're excited for?
It's one that like I was a little hesitant of when it first was revealed, like, oh, okay, there'll be a Sackboy platformer when it first comes out. But the more I see of it, the more I'm really excited for it as a big platforming fan. It looks prettier with like every set of screenshots. Like there was new footage and new screenshots along with this interview, and it looks gorgeous. Like it looks like they're doing a lot of really cool stuff with the PS5. But also they talked about like the challenge, which really interested me because I'm like a huge platformer completionist. And they basically said the way the game was designed is if you want to complete Sackboy has this whole new set of moves, and there's like a lot of stuff you can master. But to beat the challenge of the main campaign, you don't need to necessarily have a great handle on all of those moves. Like you can get by with just some of his repertoire, but if you want to 100% the game, you need to be able to master all of it. And that's an interesting approach to me, and I kind of want to see how that plays out in the full game.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, and I was wondering what that actually will end up looking or feeling like in practice. Like, just as this very simplistic example, maybe there's like a double jump, and there's certain collectibles that you can only reach if you actually use the double jump. Does that make sense, Jonathan?
That's sort of the read I was getting. There's a move Sackboy has that's basically called a roll run, where you can basically get him spinning almost like Sonic, and he just kind of rolls around the world. But it feels like one that's a bit more of an advanced technique to properly use, because I think he becomes like slightly more unwieldy than if you're just running as him. So I think stuff like that, you can use it in the main campaign, but you don't need to do it to just purely beat the levels. But I'm totally there with you. I think it will be like mastering that move and figuring out the right timing to use it in combination with a jump. Ned Waterhouse was also really big on like combining the moves is a thing they've really thought about. So I think you're going to really have to get a sense of how these things interact with one another to be able to collect everything.
And one of our IGN users commented on your preview today. Sniffle666 said, "This looks like fun. Exactly the thing me and the missus will play together. However, I'll wait on reviews because these are the guys that made Crackdown 3. So, maybe an important detail.
Yeah, Crackdown 3 is definitely not a highlight, I think, of their history. I will say Sumo is a pretty big company. I forget how many teams they have exactly, but I know that they have like over 1,000 employees, and they have like multiple projects always going on at once. So it is definitely a thing where they clearly are hired by PlayStation and Xbox and other third parties. And so I think there's a lot of different stuff, but they do have that history with Little Big Planet at least there. So there is some basis, I think, to be a little more excited despite the the woes of Crackdown 3.
Sure. Sydney, did you play any Crackdown 3?
I did not. I got to the reviews before I got to the game, and so that was the end of that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe that's what will happen. Hopefully Sackboy enjoys a better fate. The PlayStation news continues. The Last of Us Remastered, not part 2, but Last of Us Remastered on PS4 has had its load times reduced by over 70% in a new patch. I guess it was actually a speedrunner that discovered this, which is pretty cool because now the game loads faster and it's shaving off time from his speed runs, which is very, very cool. So before the patch, the first loading screen in the game took a minute and a half fully load up the game. Now, post-patch, it takes 13 seconds, almost 14 seconds. Yeah, so that's quite a big increase. And Jonathan, Last of Us Remastered is also included in the PlayStation Plus collection on PS5. So do you have a hunch to this is the PS4 version we're talking about. How do we think they've managed to reduce the load times by so much, years, 7 or 6 years after this game was released?
Yeah, I can only hope it's at least under 13 seconds for PS5. But yeah, this totally reads to me as because we've seen a few other PlayStation 4 games get patches in recent weeks that don't really seem to do anything, but they've come out after that PS5 sort of backward compatibility announcement. And so it's led a lot of people to believe they're prepping these games for the PS5 to run more smoothly. And this feels like a happy accident / byproduct of it. I think the reason we're seeing it with The Last of Us Remastered is because that came out really, really early in the PS4's life cycle, and Naughty Dog has even talked about they basically used The Last of Us Remastered. Like the reason it came out in part was it helped them get familiar with developing for PS4, and that was essentially their first testing ground for coming to PS4 before Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy, and Last of Us Part 2. So it wouldn't shock me that as time went on and as they figured out how to develop better and create some really, really some of the best, most beautiful looking games on PS4, it doesn't surprise me that maybe when they went back to patch Last of Us Remastered, they realized, oh, we can also make this load a lot faster too.
Yeah, it's cool to think about actually being able to quantify just how much faster games will be loading on PS5. Still, I know you were a big fan of Last of Us Part 2. Did you also play the first one?
I did. So actually, again, I bought the PS4 this year during the quarantine, actually. And I started playing all the games that I hadn't played because I didn't have a PS4 before. So I caught up. I actually played The Last of Us Remastered, I think I did it maybe a week before The Last of Us Part 2 came out. So it was really great to go from one to the other. Yeah, but I don't know if I'll revisit The Last of Us Remastered just because I like story games, and once I know them, I'm just I don't really want to play through it again unless it's a speed run, which I kind of suck at. So
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. Since you just played it this year, still, I would guess, still very fresh to you. But
yeah,
maybe there's people out there that played it 6 years ago, and
yeah, for sure.
Now it'll be a much faster experience if anyone out there wants to revisit it. Okay, our final story today is Ubisoft has sort of given a breakdown of all of its upcoming games, what the next gen versions sort of enhancements they're going to be enjoying. And this is also a good opportunity to sort of take stock of what all the Ubisoft games on the horizon are and to discuss them as well. So let's begin with Watch Dogs Legion. This is a game that I'm actually excited for. I was a big fan of the first one. Wasn't super crazy about the second one, but I like the whole conceit of this installment being that you can sort of take control of any NPC in the game. Stella, is Watch Dogs Legion something you're interested in?
So I actually have to work on content for this game for work, but
Gotcha.
I actually had last week off, so I'm about to delve in this week, so I'm very excited. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't initially interested, but then I don't know. it seems like a really cool universe, I think, and the fact that you can like recruit anyone is really appealing, and I think that's like very unique. So I don't know. I have positive feelings for this one.
Yeah, Sydney, what about you? I know you don't always click with open world games.
I don't, but I think I am so intrigued by kind of, you mentioned the whole you can play any NPC thing and just how that plays out in like the greater sandbox. That I am pretty sure like I'm planning on playing this game. I can't say if I'll end up finishing it and sticking with it, but I'm definitely interested to see how those mechanics work at the very least.
And Jonathan, how about you?
Yeah, I got to demo at E3 last year. It felt like years ago when I was trying to remember the time. But yeah, it was actually my game of the show when playing it because I just thought the concept was so cool. It was one of those like, we'll see how it turns out, but at least like on the initial impression of this and then getting to jump into the demo itself and play for like, they let me play for about an hour. So I did get to mess around with the person hopping mechanic of it all. It seems like a really exciting potential opportunity. It's just a matter of if it's fun in practice or if all of those characters just end up kind of feeling very generic and samey with one another.
Yeah, that's kind of the big question mark. It's like how many different archetypes are there? It's basically like it's the assumption is that since you can take control of anyone, that they're part of a class, right? So it's like how many classes are there actually, are there really in the game? But anyway, in terms of next-gen upgrades on Xbox Series X and S, you'll have ray tracing. Load times have been massively reduced, and it supports smart delivery, so you can upgrade to the next-gen version at no cost, extra cost if you buy the current-gen version. PS5 also has ray tracing, and then it's taking advantage of Tempest 3D audio, which a lot of these games are, but they don't really give any specific examples of what that sort of means. Jonathan, like, have we learned anything more about what the 3D audio technology on the PS5 is going to make possible?
Not a ton, it feels like it's something that's more just, it's there at a system architecture level so that developers don't have to figure out another 3D audio solution. Like it's right there with the tools from the system for them to build. So I think that's the big draw with it. Our closest approximation to what it's going to do besides like other 3D audio examples is in, I forget if it was the June or the September PS5 showcase, but they recommended listening with headphones because a lot of the trailers were aiming to simulate the 3D audio experience. But that's about all we've gotten so far.
Gotcha. The PS5 also have dramatically reduced loading times, and it's going to be using the adaptive triggers in some fashion. And although they're not calling it smart delivery, you can upgrade your PS4 copy to PS5 version at no additional cost. Then there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla coming on November 10th. That's with the Xbox Series X and S release date. There you're getting 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, faster loading speeds, and smart delivery. And on PS5, you are getting Tempest 3D audio, 4K, 60 frames per second, faster loading speeds. Again, no upgrade cost to go from PS4 to PS5. It's another open world game, Sydney.
It sure is.
How many open world games will you allow?
And it is one that it has been blocked. I was trying to think of like some Viking term. I do not give a flying hoot about Vikings. I don't know. I know people are stoked. I'm excited for you. I'm excited that you get water in an Assassin's Creed game again. I'm excited for long ships, and I'm so excited for you to experience that. However, I will be silently watching from my desk and not playing it.
That is fair. Stella, how about you? Are you more pro Viking?
Yeah. So I think So I don't know. I'll keep saying this every time, but I really liked the original trilogy of Assassin's Creed. I felt like this backstory was very intricate. Like there was a different meaning to like assassin as opposed to now where it's like kind of like a history lesson, which I'm okay with. I think that the concept of exploring, Vikings' pasts are really cool. But for me personally, I'm just not interested in Assassin's Creed anymore after that original trilogy was kind of concluded. Because I really liked the idea of like something else happening present day that was also like important for you to pay attention to, and it all kind of linked. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really been paying much attention. I think it looks gorgeous. I think it looks really cool. A lot of people love the Viking culture, so I think it's great that it's getting recognition. But for me, it's not something I'll probably dive into. So.
Got it. I think there are a lot of old school Assassin's Creed fans that feel the same way you do about that original trilogy. But Jonathan, how about you?
Yeah, I'm someone who I really love that original trilogy, but I've grown to appreciate what the newer Assassin's Creed games are doing and enjoy them, but they definitely are different games, and it is weird how they've diverged, especially from what they used to be, and I think are more Assassin's Creed games in name than necessarily what they were at the start. That said, like I did love 2 and Brotherhood are some of my favorites in the franchise easily, and Syndicate as well. I loved Odyssey. I played over 150 hours of it. It's one of my favorite games of last year when it came out, or the year before, 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So I adored it. I'm excited for this because of the team that did Origins, which sort of started the revamp era of AC. So I'm definitely down to give it a try. I can give or take Viking lore, but I like Norse myth, so that part I'm excited to see how it's integrated.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Valhalla. Was a huge fan of both Origins and Odyssey. My friends, we're just about out of time here today, so I need to wrap this up. But we'll go through these remaining Ubisoft games real fast. There's Immortals: Phoenix Rising in December. You're going to be getting 4K, 60 frames per second on both consoles. Super fast loading times, smart delivery. Far Cry 6 is in February. I want to say 18th. And that way you're getting, again, 60 frames per second, 4K resolution, and once again, smart delivery. There's also Riders Republic, which is also coming in February, I think the week after Far Cry 6. And that's the multiplayer extreme sports game. And just, once again, everything that we said before. So across the board, Ubisoft's games should be running and looking nicely on next-gen consoles. And that's going to about do it for this edition of News, Games, and More. You can find us here Monday through Friday, same time, same place. It's IGN's daily live news show, and we appreciate you coming here and hanging out with us to chat about the news of the day. Thank you to Sydney. Thank you to Stella. Thank you to Jonathan. My name is Damon. Everybody have a good night.